Hello all, and welcome to tonight's beer review, which I am dubbing the Jesus, it's summertime in Hawaii now, and it's going to be like this until October. So basically, 90 degrees, muggy as hell, no trade winds. It's been like this past few summers. Who knows? Some people might say climate change, some people might say it is the wrath of God visiting his judgment upon us. Your mileage may vary. So, the beer we're going to be reviewing tonight is from one of my favorite styles, and one that I have yet to really review. And that is the English Special Bitter. So, Redhook had one of their 12 packs for sale at Tamora's, so I went and picked it up because I need to be watching my budget when it comes to beer. And this was brewed in the beginning of April, so a little bit old, but not too old. 5.8 ABV, not too strong. So for those of you who don't know, well, you probably all know, extra special bitters, English special bitters, I've seen it as both, are usually actually not that bitter compared to pale ales, and especially India pale ales. There's obviously it's obviously an ale with some bittering elements, but honestly, it's more a show of mouthfeel. It's more a show of hops and malts interplay. It's more a a real balanced, well-rounded experience. Most interesting thing about the style, the extra special bitter style, is that diacetyl is part. Diacetyl, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it right, is part of the style guidelines, and that is something that is usually a sign of a spoiled batch in most other beers. You don't want to be getting that sort of buttery, creamy diacetyl sort of flavor in beers. But I actually like diacetyl. Obviously, I wouldn't want to taste it inside of a lager or in a heavily hopped beer. But it just goes very well with this style. So, without much further ado, let's pour this out and drink it. Giving it a fairly vigorous pour because I want a nice big head on this. So, a very clear orange color with a fairly frothy and fast dissipating off-white head. Not highly carbonated, but the style shouldn't be highly carbonated. It should be reminiscent of cask ales in England. Nose on this is just absolutely wonderful. It is like toasted white bread with just a dab of butter on it. Got also some fruity esters. Caramel malt smell. And just a hint of old world style hopping. This wonderful buttery creaminess to the mouthfeel that's accentuated by the fairly low carbonation. Just lasts and lasts. You just got this nice coating in your mouth. bready and toasty malts that are apparent from the beginning. Not much in the way of hopping, honestly, just a little bit of that sort of earthy and just slightly floral hops, and then sort of a bittering on the palate in the finish, but not a very strong bittering. Honestly, the strong point of this beer is the mouthfeel. It just feels so luxurious, so velvety in the mouth. Just a slight sweetness to it that starts at the front and ends all the way to the fin. It goes all the way through to the finish. So obviously not overly flavored, and not very refreshing either. The sort of heavy mouthfeel, coating mouthfeel, sort of keeps it from being a truly coating mouthfeel. Which lends to a certain heaviness of body, despite not actually being that heavy of body. Makes it not so refreshing, but this is a beer to drink when you're at, say, like a pub, and you want to drink something that tastes good. You're with friends, and so you drink it and enjoy. So if there's actually two things about this beer, and I'm not going to slam it too hard because, again, I love the style. It's not one you get too much of. And two, I don't want to seem, I guess it doesn't really matter. This is Craft Brew Alliance, so some people shit on it because it's partially owned by Budweiser. But you know me, my rule is good beer no matter who makes it. So the two things. I'd like to get it so that the head kind of sticks to it a bit more. The head dissipates fairly quickly, and it's more or less gone at this point, and it's been less than 5 minutes. And you saw how vigorous a pour I gave that. Any less vigorous and it's gone in like 2 minutes. Two, I'd like it just to be amped up a bit in every way. It's a great flavor. It's a great flavor to this beer in the hopping and in the malts, but it is so subdued compared to the mouthfeel. You kind of just want something that sort of lends a flavor as much strength as the body has kind of going for it. So not really changing the flavor, just oomping it up a bit. So, Redhook Extra Special Bitter. A lot of people think it's the best of the ones that they regularly release. I kind of think it's a pretty good one. I like the style though, so your mileage may vary. And that's your beer review for tonight, folks. Cheers.